Saint Lucia, mama, that's the land of my birth. Welcome, welcome to Saint
Good morning, Mama. You are in time, Mama. It's just starting. And we are listening to St. Lucian folk music. Under the coconut tree. Hey, Tess. Good morning. All right, so our music is done. That's hilarious because I actually saw Jacob was live on Facebook last weekend, and he was playing all his folk music that I had never heard, not never heard, but haven't heard in such a long time. So it was really fun, nostalgic. Kind of freaked John out a little bit because I was singing songs and he was like, wait, what is this? What's going on here? Because he had never heard it either. But it was a really nice walk down memory lane. So, bonjour tout le monde. Jodi a c'est vendredi. AP 10 AP top 1 lot episode of Rum Shop Talks. Good morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m. and it is time for another episode of Rum Shop Talks. So last week we were interrupted because I was having Wi-Fi issues. Hey, Di. Good morning. Welcome. And so our legal portion is kind of gonna finish off last week's episode. But before we get there, I just wanted to do our usual culture. And today's culture is not necessarily so much a culture, but actually probably gonna embarrass my son who's sitting on the other side of the camera. So today, July 24th, Dana Hills High School is having their drive-through graduation. And all you parents out there can attest to the fact that you wait for your kids' high school graduation. A lot of it is because you know that they are stepping out there, they've accomplished something major, and that it basically signals the next step for them in their growth, in their journey, in their lives. And you know, it's always, where's the rum punch? What rum punch go? I'm having coffee this morning. Rum punch for later, Tessa. It is the next step in their journey, and you know, it's like you are excited for them, but it's always bittersweet because there's that part of you that's kind of sad, because usually it means that your kids are leaving and going off into the world. For us, we won't have that. Dimitri has decided to stay home and go to community college for 2 more years, so I get to have my son at home for 2 more years, which I'm super stoked and super excited for. Roxy is too. I think Roxy's more excited. The thing that got me thinking about this today is usually in St. Lucia, the way we celebrate a graduation is by having this massive party. and you plan the meals, and you plan the drinks, and you make sure that there's a drink for every person who's gonna come. Well, they have particular type of drink, and I was super looking forward to having one of those. In fact, I've been trying to coerce this kid to let me throw him a St. Lucian party for a long time. He has not consented, and I figured the graduation would be it for us, but we're not having that this year because of COVID. But I didn't want the day to pass without acknowledging that Dimitri has been the greatest joy in my life. For you guys who know me, know that I had him when I was 20 years old, sophomore in college. My boyfriend had left, so I was raising Dimitri by myself, and with my family, of course. Going through this experience, being a college student, for me meant that kind of like, what, a year and a half out of high school, which is almost where he's at right now. It's like, he was my motivation. I worked really hard so I could provide him a life better than I had, a life that my mom aspired to give us by coming to the United States. And so today, seeing all that hard work culminate into get to actually watch him kind of walk across a stage and move that tassel from one side to another, it is something that I am excited to see. I'm glad we get to have a part of that. For all of the seniors out there who are going to be kind of walking across their stage today, we would like to congratulate you. We know it was not easy getting here, and definitely the last couple of months was not easy. I know how proud I am of my son. I imagine your parents are equally or even more so proud of you. So congratulations to the class of 2020. Congratulations to my son. I am, like I said, I'm so proud of you for all you've accomplished. I see just the most amazing future for you. I wish you all the best. Yes, Elise, congratulations to Mason. If we see him in that line, we will be cheering for him because we know how hard those boys have worked to get here. So to all my class of my graduating 2020 high schoolers, you guys have done it. You guys worked really hard, and you get to enjoy today in however the capacity you can enjoy today. So moving on to our legal portion of our episode. Auntie Tessa said, congratulations, D. So last week we were talking about funding an estate plan, and we talked about, I was talking about the different types of assets out there that you have to fund and how we approach funding it. And I figured that one of the things I wanted to drive home were two stories that really signifies why this is important. The first story is a client that came to me a couple of months ago, actually sometime last year. His wife had passed away about 5 years ago, and they had created an estate plan. They had actually gone to a lawyer to create the estate plan, and they owned, I think, 9 pieces of real property, and the client had just passed his real estate license, so he figured he'd do his own funding himself. And whether he was not listening to his lawyer's instructions or the lawyer didn't give him any instructions, let's suffice it to say that the drafting, that the deeds that were done did not actually accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. So in walks the client 5 years later. His wife has now passed away, and he thinks that his property is in his trust, and they're not. And so now he's hiring me to do what we call in California a Hexat petition, which is a petition to establish the ownership of of property. It is a mini probate. We do get to go to court. I filed his petition last year, October. It is now July, and our hearing is in September. So this poor man has had to wait this whole time to get his assets into trust. Luckily, we can do that for him. He's still alive. It would have been much easier if it had been done while his wife was alive, to have just done the transfers without any issues. The idea of creating a revocable trust is that you never want to end up in probate court. But here's this man having to end up in probate court, having to pay me more than he paid his first lawyer to draft his estate plan to get those assets in. So that is one of the biggest reasons and one of the most important reasons why you want to make sure that your revocable trust is funded and properly funded. Not just like, DIY kind of style. It's like, make sure you're like consulting a lawyer to help you do this stuff, or make sure that you're talking to your banker, make sure that you're talking to your financial advisor to help you make sure that those assets are funded properly, because you don't want to end up in probate court or have your heirs end up in probate court when you have taken the steps to avoid that. The next story that I wanted to share with you guys is actually, she was a client of mine, and she bought a house which has a reverse mortgage on it, and we met in September. I realized that the house was not in the trust, so I actually tried to get her to do that. I was like, okay, we need to do this. She was still walking, still functioning, still good. And I drafted all the paperwork for them, and mom was just tired, she was ill and didn't want to be bothered, and pretty much did not sign the paperwork. Well, what that meant was, when she passed away in December of 2019, that property was never funded in the trust. So her heirs were left with only two decisions: to try to go into probate court just for this one piece of property, or to pretty much allow the bank to repossess the property, which is the route that they took. For them, it would have been cost too much money and taken up too much time to go through probate to have that piece of property, which didn't have that much equity in the first place, to transfer it into their names. So those two stories from me exemplify so much why, first of all, you should get a revocable trust if you don't have one, especially if you're in California and you own real property. But definitely, if you're gonna do that, you wanna take the additional step of making sure your assets are funded in the trust, because it really does create an issue for your heirs when you pass away, if those assets are not in there. And like I said, the reason why you do a revocable trust is because one of the reasons why is because you're trying to avoid probate. And so you want to take that step, which is the additional step, to make sure that those assets are funded in the trust, meaning titled into your trust, so that you don't end up in probate court. If you guys have any questions, I will hang out for a few. We actually are having a plumber fix our sink because we've had a clogged sink and wet floors, which happened yesterday. The wet floors happened yesterday. The clogged sink has been ongoing. So the plumber's about to start snaking. It's gonna get really loud real soon. So I'm trying to like kind of finish before it gets all crazy loud. So if you guys have no questions, I will take this time to thank you for stopping by. And hopefully you learned something, or you could take something here and share it with someone that you know could benefit from this stuff. I'm always available to answer questions. Shoot me an email. We do offer 15-minute free consultations. So if you wanted to just, have a general question that you wanted to have answered, definitely feel free to call my office and get your 15-minute call scheduled. And if there's nothing else, no questions, I wish you guys a happy Friday. I wish you a wonderful weekend. To all my graduating seniors, have fun. Congratulations. We are all so proud of you. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of Rum Shop Talks.